Jennifer, how are we doing today?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you for welcoming us into your beautiful office at UCF.
No, thank you for coming onto campus. We just love when people
Uh,
can come and see what we
mm,
do. So thank you for being here.
of course, appreciate that. I always like to start with asking, who am I sitting here with? And can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. You're sitting with Jennifer DeSalvo Haddad, who is the Director of Business Partnerships and Community Initiatives at the University of Central Florida, UCF Global, which we're the international hub for the university. And my lane that I work in is the community. So if you think of a university like UCF, we've got 70,000 students. So you obviously have a portion of our population that's international. Our office services all those students and scholars on campus, but that's not my lane. I actually work with our diverse populations in our local communities. And really, my story, how I got here, is quite interesting. I've been an educator my entire life. So I'm very passionate about education. UCF it really resonates with me because we talk about making education affordable and accessible. And I believe in that. I believe education is the great, equalizer. Give somebody an education and it's sort of you level the playing ground. So, was a teacher most of my life. One of my life ambitions was to come over to UCF. So about 10 years ago, I started teaching over at then it was called the School of Education. It's now got a different name. So I was teaching there. And then one summer they had this great advertisements for some work in the summertime. And I was like, it's UCF Global. And came over here and fell in love. My master's degree is in intercultural studies, and I was like, "Where was this?" It was like walking into another universe for me, and so really the work we do here is working with all walks of life, and so that's how I ended up at UCF Global for almost 10 years now.
Awesome. So let's dive right into what do you do at UCF Global?
Okay. I like to call myself really a dot connector. That's probably not the most sophisticated name for what I do, but really in a more serious definition, my job is to liaise those relationships between UCF, particularly UCF Global, and our local businesses or government to go out and see what the need is in the community and then develop programming to meet that need. And again, to do it in affordable and accessible ways. So, right now, for the past few years, really since we came back since the pandemic, my work has been really related to workforce, going out and providing workforce trainings within our communities, within our businesses. And so that's where I live.
And can you please tell us why is the work being done right now at UCF Global so important?
It's very important. So, if anybody's looking at the numbers right now, Orlando is a very diverse community with lots of folks coming into our community. And as we look at that population growth, obviously it's going to have an impact on economic development. And one of the things that the university is very invested in is making sure that we're addressing the prevailing workforce needs. And so when you look at those folks that are coming into our communities, we see when we go out and poll that people are lacking in some of the skills they need to be employed, primarily in language and digital literacy. And so UCF Global naturally is poised to provide that. And so right now we're really fitting a need in the community. There are lots of folks who need to be trained so that they can go out and they can be employed and successfully employed.
Absolutely. And what's been the most impactful part of what you do?
The people. There's always the administrative piece to anybody's job. That's not what gets anybody up in the morning. When I get to go out and I get to be a part of our classes and you get to see how lives are transformed, how people are making a difference because just, I like to say, the little piece we had in that process, um, that's really what I think is transformative about what we're doing. Lots of times I say we help people kind of cross the bridge. If somebody didn't have the skills they needed to be employed and we help them, well, they just cross the bridge from unemployment to employment.
Mm,
And so that's pretty magical to be a part of. And I'm extremely grateful to be a part of that.
mhm. And so what does kind of your day-to-day look like? Like, what does it look like to be in the trenches of what you're doing?
It kind of looks like, you jumped on the back of the Energizer Bunny. Not going to kid around with you. No, it can be many days I'm in here because there are pieces where you just need to catch up on your emails. You need to do some work here on campus, but a bulk of what I'm doing is out in the community. So we provide to over, in the past few years, over to 3,000 people in the community have gotten some sort of class through us. So that means we've got classes at community centers. We're over at the airport. We have classes with Amazon. So as a part of the leadership team who oversees those programs, I think it's really important to go out and be with the people, to understand the needs, to have them be able to relate a face to what we're doing. And so many days, it's really being all over the town or the city, visiting our classes, going out and meeting with folks who might have a need. Oftentimes, it's meeting with businesses, sort of talking about what we're doing, how can we meet their needs, or meeting with government officials. We do a lot of work in the city and the county, so sometimes I'm over at the city or the county. And so, really, no day looks the same, but I have to say, I love that. I love that about my job because I'm always looking at my calendar. I'm like, oh, tomorrow I'm over at Orlando City Soccer. How fun is that? So, really, it's a mixture of things.
No wonder we see you at all the events.
You see me
Absolutely.
everywhere. You see me everywhere. And that's intentional because I think a big part of what I'm trying to do is to tell the story of what we do here at UCF Global. And historically, most people don't really relate the work we're doing in the community with a research institution because we really haven't lived in that lane. But the need is so great in the local communities here. And we're so lucky to be able to have the skill set and to have the resources here to meet those needs. So I want to make sure people know. I want to make sure they know UCF Global's out there partnering with our local businesses, government entities to meet the needs of the people. And so when I get to go out, and I love it when I'm sitting somewhere and someone's like UCF, and then they're like, "Well, what do you do?" And I start talking about work in the community. They immediately want to go back to something on campus. I'm like, "No, no, no. Our students are out in the community. Our students are working at businesses, and we're providing a skill, something that's going to help them better themselves." And so I love that because that's changing really the story that people have in their mind. UCF is an incredible institution and we do so much. This is just another element of what we do out in the community. And I think it's important that people know that UCF is invested in their local community and that we're really trying to put a footprint, work with our local partners. I always say it's the power of partnerships. When you can leverage our expertise with a company's expertise, with a government's expertise, and bring that together for the betterment of our communities, that's pretty powerful. And we've seen it. We've done some really neat partnerships, and it makes a big difference.
Hmm. Not only are you big on partnerships, but you're known for being like an amazing connector of people. What do you attribute that to? Like, how do you do that?
I love people. And I think that part of that is really at the end of the day, I do my job because I want to make a difference in people's lives. It's not about the mechanics of what we're doing or the program. It's really the one to one, the human relationship that you get to have with folks. And so I think that's part of it. Naturally, I think anybody who meets me, they know I like to talk. I like people. I like that energy you get. And so for me, I think that's just it's a natural inclination because I'm a people person. Although sometimes, people would be surprised. I need downtime, but for the most part, I enjoy people. And if you get to enjoy people and then be a part of making something better in their lives, that is pure magic. It's there's just nothing better than that.
And then, yeah, I know you've already done that for some of us in this room, so appreciate you. What's an accomplishment or a milestone you're most proud of?
I think one of the things that I pride myself on is that I have the ability, and I didn't know this until I was here at UCF Global. So I'll always be grateful to Dr. Shindia, who really invested in me to pivot. And I say that because I have worn probably every hat in this office. I came here, fell in love with what they did here, but I understood I had to work my way up the ranks. And so I literally was working in the intensive English program. I then became the director of the online English program. I transitioned. But there came a point where I realized you can't do it all. And so I took a break. And Dr. Shindia was beautiful about that. When I came back, um, we didn't really know where I was going to go with my position. And the day I came back, literally there became this opportunity to write for a grant. And I think it's one of the things I'm most proud of because it was a partnership between the county, the iDrive corridor, because there was CRA money, and then UCF Global. And it was an opportunity to build a program that was going to be a model that would be used for generations to come. And it was really looking at the needs in that area and how do you build a language and workforce program that's going to meet the need, but also be sustainable. And I always say at that time we were dating the county because they were like, "Well, we're gonna bring you guys on and see how you do." But then we got married because we had such a great partnership. And what I felt was um, there was an opportunity there. We discovered some needs. We did research. We actually uncovered there was a problem. I don't like to call it a problem, but there was a need that was not being met. So we developed a whole new class. It has the highest learning gains. So there was so much good that came out of that. And I'm just so humbled that I got to be a part of that. And I'm so humbled that, from the beginning that I said yes, because I had never done it, guys. I had never done this before. And I thought, let's give it a shot. What's the worst? It's just not going to work. And so when we got approved and the program became successful, I'm really proud of that, because it lets you know that anything's possible if you believe it, right? If you think you can, you can. If you think you can't, you can't.
Mhm.
So I just loved that. And I feel really proud about that.
That's awesome. Tell us, you were up for a nomination currently, is that correct?
Women who mean business. No, and in all seriousness, I'm very humbled by that. If you look at the list of women who are on that, I think it's 50 of us. You've got some real movers and shakers in Orlando. And so I'm humbled to be a part of those women who are recognized for the work they're doing. For me personally, I'm a big advocate of supporting people, as I said, but in particular, women supporting women in the workplace. And so
Mhm.
it's really neat to be a part of a group of women who all are encouraging each other. We don't feel competitive about it. It's the best experience. We're like, high five, or like, good for you. And so it's really exciting to be a part of something that honors the work that women are doing in the community in lanes that traditionally weren't lanes for women. So it's a voice now in the community that people are recognizing. And then on top of that, women supporting women in that environment. It's a beautiful thing. So I feel like I already won. It doesn't matter who wins it. I'll be so excited for whoever wins that. But I always already feel like a winner, because to be recognized for the work you're doing by your peers is very humbling. And it's something that you can really say, I feel good about that.
Jennifer, you're flying high right now, but let's take it to some more of the difficult times in your career. So, is there a challenge that stuck out to you in your career, and how did you overcome that challenge?
For sure. So I would say people who see me today and knew me, let's say 15 years ago,
Mm.
I was in the classroom teaching. And I had no idea that I had this whole other skill set to do business development. So I don't come with a traditional background. I don't have that background. And so what I realized was I had to believe in myself. And there was a period I went through. And that's why I say I'm eternally grateful for my boss who was here, because she said, just come to the meetings and sit in there. She's like, I see it in you. She's like, just watch what I do. And it took me a while. It took me like a year. I wouldn't open my mouth. I know that's unbelievable. Like, nobody would believe that, but I would be in a business meeting and I'd be absorbing it all because I just didn't have the confidence yet. And then one day I'm sitting there, the light bulb went off, and I was like, just be you, and people will relate to that. And once I had that mindset shift, game over. Then I was like, it's all good. And so, but that took me a while. It was when I first came on, but I'm so grateful for the people that see something in you and believe in you before you do. Because oftentimes that's just the catalyst you need to get you moving in the right direction. But yeah, I sat in meetings like this,
Mm.
just sitting there, and it was a really tough time because you want to be at that level. So I would sit there and I feel like that frustration, like, why does it not feel natural to me? But I persevered. I think that's the other thing. Just get up each day and do a little better from the day before. And eventually, I know it sounds cliche, but eventually you're like, oh, I'm doing it. And that's how I feel. So
Mm.
haven't always been in this spot, haven't always been this comfortable in my own skin, but I am now.
Mm. What would you say is the biggest need right now in the field of work?
The international community is very interesting right now. So there's two areas, right? Because we serve our students and scholars on campus, and so there's lots of stuff going on, right? Is hard for students right now to feel maybe 100% comfortable coming onto American campus right now. But I would say in my lane, what I'm doing with the community right now, I think the biggest need is addressing the numbers and what we have coming into the Orlando area and the needs that we have to address. And how are we going to collectively, as a community, come together and leverage our resources? Because not one institution is going to be able to address the economic development issues we have, potentially, if we don't come together and pool our resources. And so I would say, just based off of the numbers, they say we've got 1,500 people moving to the Orlando area weekly. 24% of them don't have the skills they need to be employed. So they calculate those numbers for the next 11 years. So you can do the math and say, if we don't come together to address that, we'll have a very different looking Orlando than what we see today. And so I'm committed to be a part of the solution right now to say, how can we make the Orlando we love be prosperous, be strong, be a community where families want to come, where students want to come to the university, where, sports teams want to come and have their venues here. So I'm committed to that. And I think we have to be very strategic at this point in time. Orlando, I think, is right on the cusp of becoming just a pretty powerful city. And I would say anybody who's here and who's been here for a while knows the specialness. I don't think that's a word, but I'll use it. The specialness of Orlando, right? We all who are here see it. And I think we've been on a smaller size, not Orange County, I'm saying city, but I see that the potential is exponential right now. And so I'm thinking our need right now is for us to come together collectively. And I'm part of organizations, our Central Florida Foundation, we're doing the Thrive Initiative, we're doing a lot of stuff. There are so many good people in the community coming together to make a difference.
And then looking ahead, what's your vision for over the next few years?
For myself or for the line of work?
Um, for yourself and for your line of work,
Love
what you've been
it.
doing.
So I would say for myself is always to reevaluate in the way that I'm using the resources that I've been given. I'm a Christian, I'm strong in my faith, and I believe that God gives you a certain skill set. And so I think as time evolves, you have to always reflect and say, how am I using
Mm.
those skills for the betterment of others? So personally, that's a journey I'm always on is to say, is the field I'm working in, is what I'm doing right now, the work I'm doing in the community, is that using what I have to the best of the ability to serve others. So personally, I always want to stay on that track. As long as I'm doing that, it doesn't matter where I'm at. I'm good. Now, professionally, I do love what I do. I love what I do here at UCF Global, and I think we do have some really big things ahead of us. And so I'd love to be on the forefront, working, as a part of representative for the university, for the work we're doing in the community, to be the person who's able to liaise those relationships, who's making a difference for the needs that we have in our community.
Hmm. And then last question here is there a message you'd want leaders of Central Florida to hear or to know?
So, lots of times when people ask that, I feel like the answers come out, they sound cliche, but I think we're in a world right now that needs more love. And I don't mean that in a generic, like, oh, kumbaya way, but I think if we just operate out of a place out of love, right? We listen to each other, we respect each other, we hear the needs, we try to come together to listen to really tackle what's out there. I think to other leaders, I would say, let's do it. We all have the skill sets, we all have the power to do this. And I know when we come together, I say it all the time, it's the power of partnerships. It's really an agent for change. It's the transformation we need. And so I'd say, let's do it. Let's get out there. I should say charge on. That would be really,
Mhm.
cliche for UCF. But yeah,
Mhm.
let's get out there and make a difference.
Amazing. Well, I just want to end it with saying, Jennifer, for myself and for others in the room right now, you've been a very positive light for us. I want to say thank you, and you're awesome.
Well, thank you. And that's the best compliment I can get. So at the end of the day, if you walk into a room and you make it a little better, that works for me. So
Well,
thank you so much for saying that.
you're doing it. Charge on.
Charge on.